Yeah, one thing I'd like to get into at some point, probably why does the shelter have to euthanize animals? We don't want to look through this through rose-colored glasses, that the most common reason why we put an animal down is because we ran out of space. The animals that break our hearts that we can't save are those ones that are healthy and adoptable. That's the portion of our shelter population that we try to apply the most resources to. We take in on average 25 dogs a day. On average, we send out 18 a day. And if I'm only sending out 18 a day, then I have to constantly make space for 7 dogs coming in. And I'm either combining dogs so that I can free up space, which doesn't solve the problem, or I'm euthanizing dogs. And we can only house so many animals safely. There's a finite amount of kennels. It's this equation of how many animals are coming in, how much space I have, and how many resources do I have. By resources, I mean human resources, for the most part, people. In 2013, we took in 30,000 dogs and cats. Our capacity for care at the time was adequately about 250 animals at any given time. And our resources combined, all those three things, produced 20,000 animals euthanized. 70 to 80% of all the animals we took in were euthanized. Fast forward to when we moved to Fruitvale, October 2013. We went from 30,000 animals a year to 16. Half the amount of animals. Slightly more kennel space. Within 2.5 years, I went from 20,000 animals a year to 14,000 animals. And then to 8,000. And then to 5,000. And so as our capacity stayed the same and our resources stayed the same, but our intake kept shrinking, we continued to save a higher and higher percentage. Fast forward to July of 2020 through July of 2021, our intake shrunk so much because of COVID to 8,000. Still had the same amount of resources, still had the same capacity for care, and yet the number of animals shrunk so far, I saved 90%. We move further and further away from 2020 and 21. The intake increases to 11,500 now. My resources stay the same. My capacity stays the same. And I'm able to save, last year we saved 75% of all the animals that came to us. So it is a game of how many animals are coming to you, what capacity do you have to keep them, and what resources do you have to get them out alive. And those three things combined, we clearly have the capacity and the resources to save 90% of 8,000 animals. Now, I either reduce the amount of animals that are coming in, or I increase my capacity, or I increase the amount of resources that I have. Any one of those things on its own isn't going to save, another 10% of the animals. But if I have more capacity, and I'm taking in less animals, and I have a little bit more resources, I can get there. We have to be trying to affect that third column, how many animals are coming to us. And that's why we're trying to create programs for you to keep your animal, so I could keep that number down. I'm trying to get you resources to fix your animal, so I could keep that number down. I'm trying to fix your fence so that the animal doesn't get loose. I'm trying to give you resources to care for that litter of kittens that you just found. Because each time I do that, I'm keeping that number down.
Right.
Because the capacity isn't changing. I'm not going to be getting more kennels anytime soon. Right. And I'm not going to be getting any more resources anytime soon. I do believe pretty strongly that with the capacity I have right now, 120 kennels, and with the number of animals that I have coming in right now, if I had twice the amount of staff, I would be able to save 90% of 11,500 animals. And right now, those two left-hand columns, the resources and the capacity, aren't changing. And so this is where I have to invest all my time, keeping that number down as low as I can.
Spay neuter, collar tag, microchip.
And come and get your dog. I mean, I've said it a million times that over the past 10 years, we've taken in 130,000 dogs and cats. And only, 5 to 7% of those 130,000 dogs and cats have gone back to their owners. You can't tell me that 90 some odd percent of the 130,000 animals that have come to us, over 100,000 animals that have come to us in the past 10 years, had nobody that cared for them. That is not accurate.
Right.
I've been in this community. I know that it gets a black eye sometimes, but by and large, overwhelmingly, people care for their pets. Even if you want to be pessimistic and say only half the people actually care about their animals, which is super pessimistic. Could you imagine where I'd be if 50,000 of those 100,000 pet owners had come to the shelter and redeemed their animal in the past 10 years? We would have been easily 90% the whole time.
Why don't they?
I think that the idea is blown out of proportion what the cost is. Not only that, but maybe I think I'm going to get a ticket. Maybe I've been struggling to keep that animal in the first place and it's better off at the shelter. I think all those things, and none of those are true. You're not going to get a ticket. You can't afford it. We'll make it affordable. And the dog is not better off.